Did you know that 1 out of every 5 adults in the United States does not know how to read? Well, if you're one of these people, you are not alone. There are an estimated 100,000 adults in Marion County who cannot read above a 4th grade level.
I was in grammar school when I first found out that I was dyslexic. When I was going to school, I could never learn my ABCs or my name, how to spell my name and stuff like that.
Well, I use the term, I've just winged it all of my life, and I guess the teachers just got tired and just put you over in a sort of a flunking class, or they used to call it like a F-row, and put a dunce hat on you and make you feel just like a dummy.
Yes, I dropped out of school to help take care of my brothers and sisters so I could make sure that they could get an education. They would be able to read.
Listeners, people have been laughing, making fun of me ever since I've been grown. Girl, when you can't keep up with the crowd, it is really hard maintaining, And people used to really they had things they threw their finger. Richard can't read, he's a dummy, he's a dummy. But I know that I wasn't a dummy, because anytime you can maintain and survive little situations, I might not can do what they could do. But yet and still, I wasn't no dummy. I don't feel that word, it upsets me now.
I had it in my mind I couldn't learn.
We need help, but we can learn if you just take time with us.
I called Indy Reads because I got tired of faking the wing, faking it all of my life.
At Indy Reads, we understand that it takes courage to admit that you need help. We also understand that it takes time and dedication to learn how to read. That's why we have volunteer tutors who work with our students on an individual basis or in small groups to help you learn at your own pace.
We've all been there. We've all been there, that fear that if there's a hope for us now. And there is. Indy Reads can help you. I say the only thing you do is just say you're not under pressure with teachers like you do in school. You be graded, but you don't get graded in with the tutor. You will get scared and call, but make that effort. It's worth it.
Well, when I first went up for the interview, that was the hardest part of it, going for the interview, because I didn't know what to expect.
Well, the initial interview is basically Indy Reads' first personal contact with the student. So it's very important to put the student at ease and to make them feel comfortable. Sometimes they're a bit apprehensive or reluctant or a little bit embarrassed about being there in the first place. So usually the first part of the meeting is just shooting the breeze.
Well, I got an interview, and the guy, I forget the gentleman's name, he said, Mr. Murray, he said, how far did you go in high school? I said, I went to the 11th grade. So he said, I'm going to give you an IQ test and see how much you need to work on where you go there and read. So he gave me the IQ test. I signed my name, my address, put it on there. And I sat there a while, and he was doing something else. So he said, you through? So I said, I'm through. So I gave him the form. He looked at it, he said, well, Mr. Murray, you didn't fill out all the questions. I said, if you ask me the question, I will give you the answer. He said, is that bad? I said, yes, it's that bad. I said, it's just so much that I can fill out on the application because I can't read everything, but I can give you the answer. He said, well, don't worry about this. He said, this is what this class is all about,
Learning to read is a personal decision. That's why we encourage our students to work with their tutors and set their own goals. Although we ask our students to meet with their tutors twice a week for 90 minutes, each student works at his or her own pace.
I started at a 3rd grade level with Sue, and I'm actually probably at 7th grade level. My first diploma I got was through Indy Reads in my life. But this is working with the Indy Reads program, and it's giving me the opportunity to be myself and to be able to read and feel confident and, expressing myself, because I never knew how to express myself. My confidence is up, and I really feel like that I got just as much an opportunity as anyone else out there.
When I first started into the program, I couldn't read at all. The, and those words I couldn't read at all. It amazes me sometimes when I do read certain articles, and I said, this is great, And every new word that I learn is really exciting to me.
Going to the class, you still have a lot of people in the classroom, and the teacher really like to help, but it's just too many people inside the class. Like a person like me that they know how to read and speak and didn't understand what's the meaning of the words. And I think the tutor is much better because just both of you sitting in the room, talking together, explain things, teach, I think that's really good to have a tutor.
I started out reading in the second grade level, and I've been been reading for 5 years now, and I'm at 7. I got the Student of the Year award this year, and she was sitting there with me, my wife was, and I was in shock, and she said, "That's for you. Get up, get up."
Indy Reads does more than help you learn to read. We open the door to a whole new life.
Actually, Indy Read plays a big part in that because now I work in a book sale. And in order for me to work in a book sale, I've got to be able to read the books, like juveniles, gifts. And actually, when I got a job, I got my apartment. I've been in my apartment now for like 5 years. Phone, and I've been on my job and everything. So it's just like I never gave up.
He was nervous about writing. That's the hard part about when you teach someone to read. It's easier to learn to read than it is to write and to spell. And so we do a journal every day. I'll write one day to him, and we'll read it in class the next day, and then he writes back to me, and I read it. And I mean, his writing has improved so greatly.
She don't let me how to write a letter to my brother. I ain't never wrote to my brother. I ain't never wrote to my kids. Just a few weeks ago, I wrote her something. She said, "Write this letter and give it to your wife." I had never in my life wrote my letter to my wife. So happened I got to catch her by herself, and I gave it to her. And she said, "What is this?" I said, "Open it up." I was just enthused, So I sit down beside her, and she took it out and she read it. She embraced me. She said, "Hippie, you have never done this before." She said, "You have learned something since you've been going to Even Reads." I said, "Without you and Kathy, it would never be possible,
People like myself, we find outlets to think, well, I don't feel good today, or I'm not learning nothing. So it's very easy to give in to it. But I just never would. The days that I felt that way, I would make myself do something. Read, write, or something. Because it's real easy to get discouraged. Because it's not easy when you first start out. You cannot see or hear anything, any kind of progress that you're making. You just feel like you're still like you used to be. And then one day it's just something happens, and it's just, just like magic goes off.
Betty has accomplished so much, but she didn't give herself credit for it because she was focusing on the failures rather than on the achievements and the successes. And she was a successful career woman for many years on her own. And I just thought she had achieved so much in the pride she took in her appearance and the upbeat way she related to people and the giving person that she is and the joy she shares with other people. I just felt she had accomplished so much that I wanted her to know herself for the woman she really is, and not to focus on her failures, but to focus on her successes.
The first book I read, I could not believe that I read the whole book. And I could understand everything I read in it too. And it's just like a light or a rainbow come on. I was just tickled to death.
I carry a briefcase, little sis, and I ain't never carried school books, now less a briefcase. People think I'm really going somewhere in my neighborhood that's really important, but to me, it's the best thing that I could do. When I come home, listen, Miss Murray sure got a nice briefcase. Hey, little sis, I feel like I'm the biggest shot in the world for us business-wise,
He loves being a schoolboy. That's what he calls himself.
But meeting people like over at Indy Reads, everyone that I have met, they just seem to want to help. If they ask you anything, they say, well, if you got time, come up here. Little sis, this is a wonderful thing that ever happened to me out of all the man that I'll say I really love.
Ain't nothing like picking up a piece of paper and looking at it and say, well, I know what that is. And I'm looking forward to the day that I can pick up that paper and say, I can fill this paper out, I can read this book. And the main thing, I'm looking forward to sitting down, getting me and my grandkids in a circle and just reading.
Please do not be afraid to come out and to ask someone to help them, because there's a lot of good people out there to help.